Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi, and I am here to bring you not only the answers to the community, but the thought process, the journey of discovery, the learning that goes on to get to those answers so that you can take those skills to your organization to be a more effective ServiceNow administrator and developer. It is good to see you. I'm just checking all the last technical bits to make sure everything is functioning properly. And we have a live stream up and running. It is there. Hope to see you join real soon. This is the community live stream for Monday, July 15th, 2019. Let's get that out of the way. And I'll get out of the way as well. And we can talk about YouTube because that's where I do most of this primary broadcasting. This is on YouTube at the URL that you see right there. And I encourage you to subscribe so that you get other wonderful information that comes across on that channel, such as Stephen Bell's CMDB or the TechNow series or anything that goes in the community channel will be made available on that feed. Turn on those notifications and you'll get a notification just like, let's see if it worked. I did not set up the, yeah, got it right there. I did not set up the AirDroid yet to share my screen. So we'll see if that comes in handy today. So you get a notification that says, hey, we're streaming. We also do this on Twitch. YouTube is eternal. Twitch is only a couple of weeks, but you can use it as a backup plan. Or if you prefer watching there, that's fine too. But it doesn't stick around quite as long. So Twitch is over at twitch.tv/NOWCommunity. Take a look there. Good morning to Shane. Thank you for watching. You can get those notifications, join in, have a conversation. This is a two-way thing. I often get stuck and need your help. Look for that. And if you have something more than just a shout out, how's the weather? How are you doing today? If you've got a question about ServiceNow or an issue you want resolved, go over to the community. That's what you see right behind me. Community.servicenow.com is where you'll find that. So I encourage you very much to post there. Make sure you post once, post in the right subforum. You know the rules. Been doing this for a while. If not, well, then we can always go over a few simple rules. Make sure it's a succinct question that can be answered, not just what are your opinions of implementing a CMDB or who's got tips on discovery. Those aren't easily answered. I mean, very useful, but you might want to consider gathering those up and putting them into a blog article if you've been on the community for a while. Great way to share content. If you've learned something, come back and share it. If you got the answer to your question, a lot of times people solve them themselves and they go, okay, I got it. Make sure you post that solution back so that other people that are looking for that same type of question, issue, scenario can go, oh, that's the solution, rather than, I had a question about this, and they're reading along and go, oh, it was solved. What did you do? How did you solve it? What was your approach? Why did you choose that way? That's very important information to share. That's what the community is all about, is giving back. Good morning, Mikola and James. Good morning, Carolyn. Good to see everybody. Been busy for a while. July is a little bit crazy right now, preparing for what's coming in August and September and Q4. So that's why I've been away from the videos for a little bit. Not that I don't like it, it's just I get up and go, there's other priorities beckoning me right now. So I do this out of the love of my heart because I love to see what's in the community and learn and share. And I've got something that I need to solve a little bit later in this episode that I may need your help with. It's going to be interesting, and it has to do with a video series. In fact, why don't I just jump to that? If you are interested in learning JavaScript, I came up with a new, I'm going to have to put my head away on this one. I haven't practiced this yet. So, because I'm in the way of the URL, or I'll make another slide with the URL over there. So came up with a new series, Learn JavaScript on the Now platform, for administrators or no-coders. If you'd not, I've run into a number of customers. They say, hey, Chuck, I am now the de facto developer in our organization because our two other developers have left and I don't know JavaScript. Where do I begin? Because if I sign up for the ServiceNow course, they assume you know JavaScript. Well, this is your gateway. This is your ticket. This is your launch pad to learning JavaScript on the Now platform. Most of what's in this series is standard JavaScript, but I do call out things like gs.info. That's not standard JavaScript, but that's the way we get our output when we're doing scripts background. So I will take you through the basic of basic things, statements and semicolons and curly braces, and go into more complex things, arrays of objects, and in between there will be looping and control and Boolean logic, and you will understand that. So when you look at JavaScript, and you'll feel comfortable, and when you start to create your own or modify someone else's script, you will have the confidence you need to do that. That's who this is for. And I released it on Friday. It has been receiving some great stats and some great viewership. But what I need now is to find out where the comments are being made, because this isn't being posted on my personal channel, so I don't get notifications when somebody makes a comment. And I do want to respond to those comments. So that's what I'll be implementing a little bit later in the show. I take a little drink while I'm off screen. Just water, folks, just water. And let's go back to, not the big head, the little head. Go back here and keep going with the pre-roll. So if you want to learn JavaScript, there is a blog post, sn-learn-js. You can find that. And all of the scripts that are in there, just like this show, are in a Git repo. It's just sn-js. You'll see that when you start the first video. So thank you very much for everybody who's been giving me the kind comments about that and sharing it on social media. That is most appreciated. So that is finally out. That was a couple of years in the making. I thought of the idea probably 4 or 5 years ago when we first started coming out with the scripting course, saying, well, if the prereq is, JavaScript, how do they get that prerequisite fulfilled if we don't offer it? So I started something like this internally, and I had it as far as an outline, and that outline sat in Evernote forever. Then I started fleshing it out about a year ago with examples, and if I talked about this, what would I show? Jason McKee was very insightful as to how the content should flow and some ideas about examples, and you get into those in the later exercises. And then we get into some true ServiceNow stuff towards the end, and it's kind of fun. It gets you going, hey, I built this, I did this. There are lab exercises and answers to those lab exercises. Again, all the scripts are available on the GitHub repo that is included in that video. So go take a look. I encourage you. If you can't find it on the community at bit.ly/sn-learn-js, you can always find it on the developer portal over on YouTube. ServiceNow Dev Program is the name of that channel. There's a playlist just for this. Be warned, there are 54 videos, so take your time. It'll take a little bit, do a little today, do a few more tomorrow, that kind of thing. Highly inspired at one of the videos that I was learning from udemy.com. A gentleman out of Australia was doing a bang-up job on Arduinos, and I liked his flow. I liked the fact that he had the code there available. And I said, well, none of this is beyond my control. I could easily do this, so I offer that to you. And again, very happy that everybody is taking to that so well. And please give feedback if there's something missing, if there's something we need to improve, if there's something that needs changing. Try to include my experiences in that. So again, let's get started a little more on the community. We did the, if you want to go beyond that, there is more information over at the developer portal, developer.servicenow.com. Go get a free developer instance. That's one of the first things we do. That's lab exercise 1, actually, in that series, is go get a free developer instance, and you can do that at developer.servicenow.com. And as you're going through and you want to learn more about the scripting APIs that we're using in that video series, or you want to start exploring more on your own, hey, Chuck talked about Glide Record, and we did these 4 or 5 functions or methods. Let's go deeper into that. We've got the full API up here. Oh, I got to turn this on. My cursor marker is gone. I rebooted for whatever reason. I think it was the Apple version of Patch Tuesday. So turn that on, and now we can point to things on the screen. So underneath API, we've got the APIs all in that menu. That's where you can find more about Glide Record. Or you can use the little magnifying glass up here in the upper right and type Glide Record, and it will tell you, here's some training that involves Glide Record. Here's some community that involves Glide Record. Here's a blog article that involves Glide Record. And here's the API class definition for Glide Record. Go for it. That's where you'll find it. You can also find it. I also discovered a lot of these APIs are documented on our docs site over at docs.servicenow.com, which looks an awful lot like that. So I didn't know that. Many of them were there. I tend to go to the developer site first for whatever reason. It's not one for one, like for like identical stuff, but it is pretty darn close. If you are interested in meetups, we have developer meetups over at meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow dev program. Lots and lots of chapters around the world. There's probably one in your area. If there isn't, reach out to us. I believe the information here is right on meetup.com on how you can get started. We've got a new intern, Tanvi, who is ready to help you with that. We are approaching 17,000 people worldwide that are involved in the developer program on meetup.com. Thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting you. There's even talk about opening up one in Madison, Wisconsin, my former stomping grounds. So I may be going that way if they get that off the ground. Very eager to, I always like launching new developer chapters, kind of fun. Although I'm in a little bit of friendly competition with Dave Slusher and Andrew Barnes. So, understand Dave went to Chicago last week, I believe it was, and they had a developer meetup there. Good to see Chicago back on its feet. It was without leadership for a while, so good on you, Chicago. I believe the Bay Area is up and running again. I haven't heard the status on New York lately, but again, if you're interested, there's opportunity to become a meetup organizer. And we'll take care of a lot of the back-end stuff. We've got applications to help manage expenses and attendees and sign-ups and all that stuff. You really just pick an agenda, who's going to do a presentation, and a location. We'll take care of the rest. How's that for helpful? So very fun stuff with the meetups. Even if you're not a ServiceNow developer and you want to explore, great way to get a discussion going. Hey, I'm interested in becoming a developer. What do I need to know? They'll be happy to help. All right, let's keep going. I know this is getting a little long. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm not really sticking to the agenda very well, am I? We do have a TechNow coming up on the 25th. I don't have a slide for that at the moment. Should have that today, I believe. But the next TechNow, let's get that off the screen, is on the 25th. So a week from, 30th, I'm sorry, 2 weeks from tomorrow. This is the 15th. So tomorrow will be the 16th. It'll be on July 30th. We're going to be talking about the new features in Automated Test Framework, aka ATF, about parameterized tests and testing custom UI pages. That came out in Madrid. Shriti Verma, who's the product manager for that, will be joining us and doing demos so you can see how that's done. So if you haven't been introduced to ATF, we'll introduce you to that, get you started with what it is, why you want to use it. And if you're already familiar, well, then you can multitask for the first 15 minutes. So hope to see you there. 8 a.m. Pacific. I'll get you the link. I believe it's going to be on social media, likely tomorrow, and then I will get it into this series as quickly as possible. Watch for that announcement on the community as well. So TechNow, episode 65, ATF. We also have a special one coming up on the 6th with Brad Tilton about developer guidelines. We've got one for no code, we've got one for pro code, we've got one for team development. Those are new. In fact, I could show you where those are on the developer portal underneath Learn Documentation. If you go down here, the second of 3 has been released. Just scroll all the way to the bottom right now. Maybe in a different place when you look. But here is where'd Citizen go? There's the team development setup guide. Did he move it? Did he change it? We were looking at rebranding it. It's not there. Maybe there's a limit on how many can be here. It was on this page. So we will have to find out where that went. I will talk to Brad today. He's back from vacation. So team development setup is there. Citizen one should be there. I don't know where it went. I apologize for that. A little misleading. Oh, somehow we got back to that page. So look for that. JavaScript. Speaking of JavaScript, any script we write today will be covered in the GitHub repo that you see there on the bottom. So I should be able to post what we've got today. I'm going to be doing some YouTube APIs. But before we get to that, let's see what's new in the community. Took us a long time to get there, didn't it? Sometimes I can do this in 6 minutes. Sometimes it takes 15. But lots of good news today. Lots of good news. And very thankful to be here. So let's go to unreplied. If I skip over a topic, again, it's not because I don't like you. It's because it's generally not my subject matter area of expertise. I am most proficient with the platform, custom applications, scope depths, that kind of thing, integrations, and somewhat on some other periphery area. So I have to feel confident that I can contribute something and make it informative and entertaining to you. If all I did was sit here and read doc pages for 20 minutes, not much of a video for you. So how to do incident task integration? Well, it says integration. I'm going to take a swing at it. Let's see what comes up. Hi all, I'm doing ServiceNow incident integration between two ServiceNow instances. In the same way, I wanted to integrate the incident task. For example, if I created an incident task to the incident 10,099, the incident being created by integration in A instance, it should link to incident 1090, this being created by integration incident B instance. How can I achieve that? That's interesting because the incident numbers don't match. You can use a table API, a REST table API to send the information back and possibly, let's see, the information from A to B and possibly back from B to A. I would need a little more information. First of all, is this planned to be a two-way integration? How does A know that incident 001-0099 correlate to incident 001-0090? What's the link to say update this particular record? That's the big question, or was that a typo? It could have been a typo. If they match, great. If you create one in one instance, then you definitely want to create the same one in the other instance. That's easier than trying to match and correlate. And somewhere, instance A has to know about what instance B is doing. It's no different if it was a ServiceNow instance or if it was a Verizon instance about managing your phones. There's some correlation that says, that's the record I want to go update. That's the whole key to integrations, is identifying what needs to be created or updated. So I'm going to leave it at that. We get our first Mario coin of the day. That took a while. I'm registered for ServiceNow Fundamentals training starting in 1 hour, but need a WebEx info. Can you help? Oh my, the community probably isn't going to be your best answer to do that in 1 hour. When was this posted? This was posted 11 minutes ago, which means it's probably going to be at 7 a.m. my time. Virtual training I'm registered starts at 9 a.m. CST. However, I'm not gotten the welcome email with instructions. I've emailed the training department awaiting a response. Please advise. The registration system for training was not working properly last week, so had to register manually. Allison Clement confirmed, but cannot find. I don't know if I can help with that one. I'm trying to think. Sending email to training would normally work under usual circumstances, but it's very early. Do you know who the instructor is? And my hands are basically tied doing a video until then. Trying to think where we could go with this. I'm going to have to think about that one. I wish I could help. Applaud them for reaching out to the community. Maybe there's somebody else in that same class. ETF, report export format. I'm not much of a reporting expert, but learned a few things over the years. Hello all, I've created a scheduled report. However, the only option for the export when I share the report is PDF. I would prefer Excel. The issue is that the description field is too short and I need that expanded. And there is a reply. When you go to edit schedule report, navigation menu report, schedule reports, is there no option for Excel type? It's under the introductory message. So I'm going to go to my personal developer instance and go to reports. Reports. Let's go to view run. I'll take one that's already existing and schedule it. So let's do safety issues by state. Simple simple bar report. Okay, you know what? Let's take a list report instead. Do I have a list report that I can pick up on real easy? Gotta be one. Here, one. Active change requests. How big is my zoom on this window? 150. 150 is all right. If we put this away, we can see a little bit better. So I've got active and false, active change requests list there. And if I configure it, share, I believe schedule is up here. So I click share, schedule, and I want to introductory message, PDF Excel. There it is. I don't understand what the issue is. Okay, if you've already created it, let's say we already created this as a PDF landscape, and I'm going to just send that to me. It's not going to work because I don't have email enabled on this. But I scheduled that. I don't even know when I scheduled that. When I created, boost that up so you can see it, the schedule, I see the Excel option under this choice list. Do you not see the same? Could be something got disabled in a choice list. Don't know. If we've already created this, then I can go to reports, and I believe scheduled reports is under here. There's the scheduled execution of active change requests that I just built. I can take this, go down here, and change the type field in that record. So if it's already created, you go to scheduled reports, modify the type. If you're building it out, modify the type. Pretty straightforward. Good morning, John. All right, let's do one or two more. That's that one. Flow Designer use dynamic dates for tasks. Ooh, sounds intriguing. Let's find out. Some of this is tempting, like, oh, there's something coming in New York, or something coming down the road that I want to answer with that I can't right now. Some of these, like, when I answer these, I have a feature that I know about that's not available in Madrid. But I'm sworn to secrecy on some stuff. We currently have a flow that runs off a service request, of which we generate a 12-day lead time. Within the flow, we need tasks to run within this lead time and wondered how to schedule these within Flow Designer, i.e. Flow creates task, which is due 5 days prior due date of the request item. Does anyone know a way or code I can add into the field within Flow Designer to achieve this? Use alongside the due date data pill. Would require a custom action. It's completely doable. Requires a custom action at this point. Again, I know of a feature that's coming that will make this much simpler, that reduces the need for custom actions. So this would require a custom action definition that you can build. It doesn't require much. I did this before with, was it dates? I think I just did simple math. It doesn't require much for code, just using glide date time, add days. Let's make a link to that to add, subtract whatever values you pass to the function and return a new date time. Wish I had a quick reference to say this is how you build a custom action, but I don't have one. Now let's go to the documentation. Here we'll put a link to add days local time. There's our API. I'm going to fix that. I know I typed one thing and gave another one. Add days is available in a global scope, but local time is available both. So let's do that as a link to there to be nice and helpful. Add it to the new window. Okay. And let's also go to the docs, Madrid, for building a custom action. Come on. I clicked it. custom flow action. I have no idea what I'm looking for, but we'll find out. Create an action condition, actionable case flows, action designer. That's what I was looking for. And I'm going to copy the link in HTML for this. Docs action designer. And sorry, I don't have a quick link to a video where I built a custom action. You might want to search one of our live coding happy hour videos, which is going to be over on the YouTube channel, YouTube, for ServiceNow Dev Program. Oh, where is it? Where's all my other channels? Never mind. ServiceNow Developer Program. Easier to search. There it is. And I don't know if Live Coding Happy Hour has its own playlist. Let's find out. Oh, by the way, there's the new series for learning JavaScript right at the top. Learn JavaScript on the Now platform. We do not. There it is. Live Coding Happy Hour. I'm looking right at it. Let's copy that and put it in there. I like to add links. Okay. V, tab, down, new, tab, enter. Can do all that from the keyboard. How about that? Isn't accessibility a great thing to take advantage of? There's another one. Ding. Now, we have time for one more? I hate to push it because I don't know how long it's going to take to actually do this. Morning, Alan. I'm going to jump into a problem that I mentioned at the top of the show. I've got a new video series out, but it's on somebody else's channel. So when somebody makes a comment, I don't know about it. I want to know about it. I have access to do that through YouTube API. So I am going to show you the YouTube API that I am after. I did a little bit of research last night and got the REST API part started because that was kind of the ugly stuff. On YouTube, there is an API called comment threads. And if I say I want to snip it and put in a video ID when you're on YouTube is something like this. So let's say, for example, I'm on the overview video and there are 8 comments on here. I think I saw 3 or 4 the last time I saw it, unless they're counting mine. So 1 hour ago, boom, there's another one that I would have missed because it's not my channel. I don't get notifications. But the video ID is easily gotten either through the URL. You can see v equals something, or if you go to share, it's right there as well. Copy it out of there. It's always that crazy keyword looking thing. And I put this video ID in here and say use OAuth, and I'm going to authenticate with that scope. I execute that. It says, are you who you say you are? Which account do you want to use? And I say, I want to use that one, which really doesn't matter because the comments are public anyway. And I got a 404. That's bad. The video identified by the code was not. Did I copy it poorly? 62 blah blah JW. Okay. Let's do that. Go back to the API. Did I mistype it? Oh, I got the whole URL in there. That was poorly done. Just need the ID. Learn by my mistakes, kids. And then I execute that and I get a 200. And in here, I'm going to bring this out to VS Code so it's a little easier to read. I have a total of 5 comments that are on there. Some of those must have been replies when it said 8. Let's go here. This is not code that I'm going to post, but I just want to make it easier to read. There they are. Some big, nice, healthy JSON stuff. And in there, I've got the video ID. I know who did the comment. That one's made by that person. Here's the value. And look, the text display down here and the text original. So I could say I want this in HTML or I want this in plain text, and it will give that to me. I want to store that information in a record, and then when that record is created, notify me, because now I have it on my instance. I'm in total control of what I do with that data. Let's update that later, thanks. So let's take a walk through here. It's going to be whatever my result is. What I did on my instance is went to Studio, make that a little larger, bump that one up to 150. And underneath here, I have an outbound integration for YouTube. And it has two things that it can do. Get video statistics, how many views is usually the interesting one, and get comments, which is the one I wrote last night. Get comments uses the comment threads API. So once I had this working, there's a show code in here, and I took the API portion of the curl command. It said, all right, let's just put in my stuff, take the key, put it in a variable or property, something like that. Oops, went the wrong way. I want to be over here. And said, substitute in the video ID and the key. Now I went, got to make sure I don't expose something I don't want to. I went down here and said, let's test run that with the video ID that's in my test variables. And it says, great, I got a 200 for this particular video, and it should look an awful lot like what you just saw because it was the same JavaScript overview video. So once I get it tested in the external API tester, I can then take that information and put it into ServiceNow. Granted, I already had the OAuth stuff and a lot of the hard work done around the API, so I'm just copying and pasting a little bit to modify for this new API. That took a little bit because I had different variable names. In the one API and get video statistics, this URL says ID equals some video ID. And in this one, it says video ID equals some video ID. So they're not even consistent with the parameters. If they just said ID, it might have meant something completely different. There's maybe ambiguity between the two different endpoints. So watch the variables. Had to deal with that last night. Now that I've got that running, I want to take that and make a script around this so I can put it in my table. But I need a place to store it. So let's go to the data model. And in my episode table, I have, so what the real thing I wanted to get at was, let's find the one that says overview. Overview, as of this morning, at 1,243 views at 6 a.m. So I was pretty close. Let's look under here. And I'm using the same community live stream application just because it already has that YouTube stuff built in. I put in a link, and every few hours it goes out and updates the views. I've got topics and ideas. Topics are what I talked about in this episode. That's how I generate the HTML output that you see on the community or the bullets that you see in LinkedIn or YouTube. Very easy, but I don't use those here because I don't have any topics that I mentioned on it. This is purely for my tracking. I want a comments table because every one of these YouTube videos has the potential for getting comments, which for whatever reason the last year I haven't really thought about, but be nice to know, wouldn't it? So let's create another related list called comments. And what information can I get out of that comment structure that I might want to store in the table? Don't really need a kind. The E tag may be some sort of sysid for them, but I suspect the ID is more appropriate. So I'll want that to understand, have I seen this comment before or is it new? Basically a coalesce value. So items is an array. Each one has an ID. Underneath that is a snippet. And if I save this, I may be able to collapse this to make it easier to read and parse. I'm going to save this off to my desktop and call it ytcomment.json. And now the editor will go, oh, JSON. Oh, I was hoping I get the little collapsey things. So if I collapse snippet, everything I need is inside snippet. Let's collapse these other guys. That's just more of the same. Dump. Okay, inside of snippet, so I'm going to need items sub something dot snippet dot. Oh, see this snippet, does this have the same ID tag? Yes, it does. It starts with UGW, BZZA, and ends with BAG. That is the same value as that. Okay, good to know. I don't need to look at two different ID tags. And then inside snippet, there is, looks like another snippet object. That's interesting, which is snippet.snippet. Who wrote this? Okay, so the first thing I need to do is find out, can I get this information? And then second is, which do we want? Text display or text original? They look to be pretty much the same. I'll need a place to store that. Before I store that, I want to make sure that I can get my hands on just those bits of information. So leave that there for a second. I'm going to create a new test script that before I can test it, I got to have something to test. I know I'm jumping around. This is sort of the way that my development brain goes. I've got the REST message already built. I've also got code that I can borrow from my YouTube script include that I can go down here. Let's blow that up so that we can see it a little bit better. Collapse that so we can see it even a little bit better. And I've got get ID from URL. That doesn't really, that's a parser. That doesn't get me anything. Get date from title. That looks like it's parsing also. Get stats. Here we're calling a REST message v2 called get video statistics, which we saw in the earlier one. So I could copy that. Get stats and snippet by ID. I'm hand forcing an endpoint in here rather than building a method. I don't know why I didn't do that. Usually I build a method, then call it. But this one is putting all the parameters in itself. So what I could do is, that one's used by import. When I do the import, let's just copy get stats since I know that's closely related to the get comments that I'm going to go after. And I'm going to return a big object. So we'll make a new method based on the old method. It is horribly formatted. So get comments for a specific episode. I'm going to pass in a glide record. Very nice of me last year to call it episode GR. I get the YouTube URL out of there. Which one do you want? Then parse the ID from the URL. I thought about just storing that ID as a separate identifier instead of the entire URL, but I get URLs in different formats. YouTube has that thing either as a /ID, as $v = ID, so my parser takes care of all that for me. Now, instead of get video statistics, I want get comments. Passes the same API key and the same variable for video ID key. Note that this lines up with this in the URL. Not this one that says video ID, that's hard-coded, but the variable $video_ID is what's going to be passed in here, set string parameter. So I've extracted that out of the URL. I'm going to pass that in and say that's my ID. Now it's just going to do whatever I say, unless it has an error. Let's save that. Hit the little floppy disk, which I haven't seen a computer with a floppy disk on it in a while. Maybe you have. And I want to make a test script that calls that method. I'm going to need to pass it a glide record, so I'll need first the sysid of an episode record. Let's create a test script. Always unit test your script include functions, kids. This is going to need a sysid. I don't think this is the overview one. Let's find that one again, just so we get a consistent test case. Overview. And copy sysid. Back to here. var id equals sysid. Var episode gr equals new glide record. Don't remember the table name. This is where Studio comes in handy, because one of these instances actually didn't create with an X underscore for whatever reason. I think I was doing it on a personal local something or other. So bring up the table. This one is in fact XSNC CLS episode. Put that in there for my table name. Go retrieve that record. Episode gr.getID. That gets me my test record. Now I can call var yt equals new YouTube and var whatever my generic test object is going to be yt.get comments. Episode. This one needs an episode gr. Oh, was it initialized with episode gr? Or did I pass it in? I got to look at my script include. Always remember your APIs, kids. I pass nothing in initialize, so that has to go in here. Episode gr. Then let's do a big dump of that. gs.info, json.stringify, not episode gr, but obj null 4. That gives me a nicely formatted output. There's my test script. Where do we go to test it? We go running happily for scripts background and run that. And I get, this is nice. Wow, I didn't expect it to work that well that fast. Hence all the homework last night. Happy to pull comments into the artifacts record for you. Oh, Andrew's on the line. No, that's fine, Andrew. Unless you can tell it to fire me a notification when there's a new one. That's really what I'm after, is just say, hey, Chuck, there's a new comment. You might want to go to update this. I'm fine with this. This gives me what I need all in one place as well. The other thing is now I need to be able to go and get these bits of information. So I want to let's go through the array of items. So it's going to be result.items sub whatever. And then let's just print the IDs, because the IDs are all going to be unique. Let's modify this and first turn that off. We know we got good info back from there. Let's do, we got it in OBJ. OBJ is our record. Was there a result object on here or not? No, OBJ just had this stuff. Interesting. Okay, I must have cleaned it up when it came back from the REST API, because it's always in a result object. I must have just stripped that off. Said, I really don't need a result. Doesn't buy me anything. So for var I equals 0, I less than items dot, obj dot items dot length. Let's go for the entire length of the items, and just as a simple test, gsinfo. I'm going to take a Dave Slusher tip and say var item equals obj.items sub I. I don't like typing all that crazy object array stuff every time. Now I can just say id equals plus item.id. Makes the GS info and everything else after it a lot easier to read. Let's test this again. Paste, tab, enter. They look like unique IDs. They all end the same, which kind of threw me off. I'm used to looking at the ends of sys IDs going, hey, these are all different. In this case, don't look at the ends. They all end with this 4AABAG thing, or AAA. I've been bagged on. But all the beginnings are unique. So every ID is unique, which means underneath that, if I can get the ID, then I can get, this still throws me off, snippet.snippet. Snippet.snippet dot text display. This is interesting. Let's add to that. This is where it gets a little crazy. Comment equals, we'll even throw the author in there. Item dot snippet dot snippet dot, what was it, text display? Can't remember. Text display. Works for me. Text display. All right, drum roll, please. Oops. Paste, tab, enter. And it says text display. What is that? All right, clearly we're not reading our JSON right. Am I missing something somewhere? Somebody understand what I'm not looking at quite right. Is it not in, it's not in this snippet object. If I collapse that, where does it go? It is in the snippet object. This is goofy because it looks to me like this goes from here to here. Right? Let's just do snippet.author display name first. Make this a little simpler. Snippet.author display name. Paste, tab, enter. Undefined. Alrighty. I got the ID. I'm in the snippet object. Oh, it's snippet. Top level comment. There's another object out here that I didn't see. Snippet.toplevelcomment.snippet. This is where it gets really kind of crazy sometimes reading JSON. So let's do Let's go back to my original one. Well, first let's get the author comment. Let's do this. Author equals snippet dot top level comment, because there may be child comments, and actually I generally don't care about that because it's going to be a reply. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I do. I may have replied, in which case I probably want to set up a parent-child relationship to these comments. So this is getting a little crazier on the data model. First, let's make sure we can get the data, and then I'll think about the data model later, because when you look at a YouTube comment, it often has a thread that's going with it. And like this one, do I want to be notified that I made a comment? Probably not. But if somebody makes a comment to mine and we start a thread going, I want to know about that one. Shouldn't go ignored. So think about the use case. This is common to the same thought process you got to go through, not just for this YouTube example, but for other people that are making applications or need notifications on data that you're creating. When do you need it? When do you not need it? Frankly, I'll figure this out later. I'd rather have more notifications at this point than not enough. So let's go through this one more time. Did I get top level comment dot snippet dot author display name? It's going to bark at me again. Let's go back to my personal developer instance. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm not on my personal developer instance. I'm on my demo instance. Run the script, and hey, I've got the author. It was that top comment thing. So now I know the author. That's good. I want to store that. And it's giving me the top level comments, which makes me want to look at this structure even more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 of them. And I'm going to bet that underneath here is some sort of additional information, because which one had the thread on it? This is a good example because it's got both of what I need. So we've got the one from Sandeep has a reply from me. What does the JSON look like from the one from Sandeep? There's the one from Sandeep. And could you please provide, but I don't see the reply on that one. Where's the one from me? There's mine. Could you please provide videos? That one's a comment to me. Probably would have helped if I looked for my entire name. My name is not in here. It's only getting top level comments, which may be the way that I'm calling the API. That could be an issue. Maybe it's time we go back and look at the API constructor and say, I want, so I have to loop through this thing and say, first give me all the top levels, then go find all the other ones. So request says, all threads related to channel. That's a filter. But I put in video ID. I don't want all threads related to the channel necessarily, because I'm not interested in all videos on the channel, or the comments on all videos. Search terms, text format. This is interesting, because if you put in a video ID, what's it say about video ID again? The video ID parameter instructs the API to return comment threads associated with. Okay, so there's a thread in there. I'm not really understanding how I can drill down into the thread based on the JSON it returned. That's the confusing part. And if I remember, if I looked at items, it didn't really say how many items, did it? No. I was hoping maybe this editor would say 5, but it doesn't. But if I collapse this, and this, and this, those are my elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somewhere in here was the one from Sandeep, but I don't see the thread that I've got. Does it say anything about... No, it doesn't say that there is a child to this. I'm going to have to look into that. How do we not... I mean, right now we're only getting the top level ones, but we'll live with that for now. I'll dig into that. That's an API thing. Now that I've got that, let's make sure that I can actually get that text comment out of that. That was I was struggling with in the other one. So we've got the author display name, which came out of top level comment snippet. We're under top level And snippet is closed, so it'd be top level text display. Yes, maybe. Then we could put in here plus, let's put in a new line just to make it a little more readable for my sake. Comment equals plus item.snippet.top level comment dot text display. I believe that's what it was. Copy and paste would have been more fun, and I still missed. It's undefined. All right, what did I miss? Is item.snippet.top level comment. So it's item snippet top level comment, and this matches that one. Oh, it is still under snippet. Oh, I missed this author channel ID. I missed that. There's another object in there. I was pairing things up. Thank you, editor, for matching my curly braces. So it is under snippet.textDisplay. Okay. Snippet dot top level comment dot snippet, same level. This is where this kind of stuff gets kind of gross for me to type. So I could also say var my snippet equals copy a bunch of that stuff into here and then address it as I'm not above burning an extra variable to make this readable. Snippet. And same thing with the comment. Chop this off. I just don't like typing. Shorten that up to my snippet. Now that way. Copy that, test that, and now we have comments. Hooray, we've got comments. So I've got an ID. I can tell whether it's been seen, heard from before. I forgot a space here between the ID and the author, but that's okay. There's a debug statement. Just testing. Here, if I want to fix that and make my future self a little happier, put that, whoops, not that. Put that there. I can get all of those and I could insert those. I'm halfway to my script include at this point of what I want to do with this record. So in my YouTube, tube, somewhere in here, I've got, let's collapse this again, make this nice and big. I'm almost ready to start saving this into a table. Why don't I create that table now? We want to go to Application Explorer. No, create new file, table, and create a new table called comment. Not comments, comment. Let it name that just fine. It doesn't extend anything. I'll deal with the module later. And in here, I want the author, which is going to be a string. We should probably make that a little longer just because names sometimes get longer than 40 characters. Sometimes they do. Let's do ID, which is going to be, did that look like it was 40 characters or less to you? I don't know. ID looked kind of like a sysid. I'm not so confident that it's always going to be 400, so let's just burn a few extra bytes in the database. And we need the comment. We didn't have a date or anything in there, did we? Was there? I know on YouTube it says 4 days ago. Text display, text original, view count, published at. Do I feel like parsing this apart right now? Not at the moment. But if I check this thing every 6 hours, I should be fine. I'm not going to worry that it was really, really old. Now, I could put that in. I may do that at some point in the future. This is going to be a larger field, so we'll make it 1,000. And now the idea is, we need to link it to the parent table. I always forget to do this. I always forget my related list part. It's going to be a ref. Move that up so we can see reference and episode. After about 400 times, you don't forget the link anymore. which one of these could or should be a display value. I'm going to go with the comment. Sounds good to me. And by virtue of having a reference field, I can automatically create a related list. Let's go back to the episodes list. Put in a related list on my episode record. Menu, configure, related lists. There is the new comment table. The third field is fine. Let's make sure the list layout looks good. First, let's go to, I didn't put it in here, so never mind. If you configure your default list layout, it will carry over to the related list, but author comment ID, that's fine. I frankly don't need the ID on here, but we'll leave it there just for fun. And then, now the fun part comes. Adding the script that I did here to that one, which is going to look an awful lot like this. So I want to run this part on a scheduled job. Yes, eventually I will turn this into Flow Designer when I get my YouTube spoke built, and put that into a scheduled job, which we'll call the get comments, and then create the comments if they need to be created. So in order to determine uniqueness, I still need one other thing in here, and that is, does this comment exist? So before I insert a record, I've got to check if that record exists. So I need a couple of functions in my script include. So if I can write this really fast, because we are running a little late on time. Let's go to my YouTube script include, collapse that, and expand that. And down here, after I get from title, get stats, there is something in here. I do some file manipulations in here, I thought. Get view count, episode exists. That's episode title exists, which is an example of what I'm after. Insert episode, don't care about that. But what I do want is comment exists. And I'm going to call that function by the ID that I pass in. That's the YouTube ID. I don't have a whole lot of comments on this script include yet, but I will. And I'm going to var comment gr equals new glide record, access and see. This is where an upsert would be really nice. I could check and do an insert or an update at the same time. But in lieu of that, let's just keep going. My new table, and then say if comment gr.get ID is the name of the field, and ID is the name of the value, poorly named, I know, but the field and this variable, here we can call it YouTube ID. Let's call it comment ID just to be a little clearer. Then I change this one to comment ID. If it got that value, then I return true. I could have done this in a number of ways, but I'm going to leave it this way. Did I do that right? Return false if it didn't get it. So now I can check if the comment exists, save that. Always likes to go back to small mode after I'm done. Oops, I hit save instead of pop out. Go back down here to my comment exists. Let's just do a quick check on one of these. Take a comment ID, unit test kids, unit test. Here is an ID that I get, and I am going to do another unit test. Var comment ID equals that, var yt equals new YouTube, and say gs.info yt.comment exists ID. Test scripts don't have to be very hard. They should be very simple, as a matter of fact. Go back to scripts background, test this, and I should get a false. That comment does not exist. And it goes, you did what now? Because I called one of them comment ID and another one ID. That's on me. And it says false. It does not exist. If I were to manually go into an episode record, let's get this one again and create a new record manually, as if my script include, we're going to do that in a second. And I will say this is from me. My comment is hello world. And ID is this form looks like garbage. But if I paste in my ID from my test script, test both cases, kids. Don't trust because it says false that it's truly false. Okay, if I can get that, now I go back to scripts background, paste in my script, test, script, paste, tab, enter. True. So whether it exists or not tells me whether I need to create a new record or update an existing record. Comments generally don't change, so I'm just going to go with if it doesn't exist, I'm going to create it. If it does exist, fine, I'm moving on to the next comment. And then I can obviously put a notification around new records that are created there. So that's as far as I'm going to go today. I think we've got the basics down as far as how do I reach out, get into that JSON payload, determine what I need, what I'm going to save. I may include the publish date if I've got a few minutes extra today. I do have a call in about 30 minutes, so I need to post-process this show as quickly as possible. Get it up to you. All that information will be available on the community. If you see something in this video that you liked or found helpful, don't forget to click the like on the YouTube link. If you're watching this in the community, go ahead and click helpful there to let others know that there's something informative, maybe even mildly entertaining in there. I appreciate it very much. And until next time, which may or may not be tomorrow, but there will be a next time, I look forward to talking to you. If you learned something, share it and be helpful. Until then, take care. Bye.